So this all started because I used to oftentimes, and still do, get compliments on my feet. On multiple occasions, meaning from like ex-girlfriends and stuff like that, I used to get praise and compliments on how I didn't have what they considered gnarly feet. And you know what? That felt good to hear. It's crazy encouraging. That kind of began my dedication to taking care of them and keeping them looking somewhat decent, though I really don't have to do much. Genetics kind of work in my favor on a lot of things. Okay, so guys, I get it. Most of us weren't even brought up to pay particular attention to certain parts of our body. I'm talking fingernails, toenails, feet, skin, etc. Most of these things up until today would be considered something that mostly the ladies would be concerned with or worried about or have a high concern for. I think that's because in most cases, grooming, treating, or simply managing these parts of the body would more or less fall under the vanity veil. And most of us just didn't come up that way. Most of us come up a little more rugged than that and just don't mind being a little roughed up or feeling roughed up or looking roughed up. So I understand, I get it. But I think you should know that ignoring your feet just because simply you think they'll be in shoes all day and nobody will see them and nobody has to care if they don't see them does you no favors. I'll explain why. So aside from the fact that your sleeping partner, if you have one, would appreciate you not slicing and dicing their legs and feet up at night, aside from the fact that you don't have to avoid wearing slides and sandals in good weather if you want, because people will be running away because your feet are throwing gang signs, aside from the fact that you can be at peace about visiting other people's homes and taking off your shoes without the embarrassment that a grown-ass man has smelly feet, aside from all of that, your actual health could be at risk. So cosmetic maintenance is one thing, but functional maintenance is a whole other thing altogether. As I mentioned earlier, most men, and to a fair degree some women too, just weren't brought up on maintaining and improving functionality of our feet. Most, unfortunately, are just forced into that world. So problems like ingrown toenails, hammer toes, gout, bunions, calluses, corns, things of that nature can actually lead to some real issues if not treated. But for the most part, all are preventable, and all of them can affect your mobility in one way or another, not taking anything away from those who have problems that they can't control. But speaking of one such thing, there is a thing called flat feet, which I have. A person with flat feet doesn't have the arch underneath their foot when they stand normally. I've always had them and I always will at this point. And it's been said that this, flat feet, is considered having the physical condition, but I'm not so sure because did you know that all babies are born with flat feet? The supposed arch doesn't even start to develop until around age 5 or 6 when they start wearing shoes that encourage it. So what do you suppose would happen if we just never wore shoes? Just saying. So your feet need you. Your feet need your active participation to help them serve you as long as you need mobility. Almost anything that I previously named off can affect your mobility. And if you know anything about the physiology of the human body, you likely understand that one thing could lead to another, which could lead to another, which could lead to another. In other words, for example, having a bunion on your left foot could lead you to maybe overcompensating on your right side with a limp, which puts more work on those ligaments and bones, which eventually could become sore and give you problems, which then causes you to overcompensate by using your left side, which causes problems on that side over time because you're giving it more work than it deserves to have. So it just ends up being extra wear and tear on your ligaments and bones due to something that you probably could have avoided in the first place. And I don't think any one of us want to feel broken or older than we are. So where exactly can you start? Well, in my opinion, you can start with shoes. And what I mean by that is lack thereof. Barefoot is the best thing for our feet. Be barefoot more than you have to be shoed up. It allows your foot the spread it needs when you put weight down on it that wearing a shoe restricts it from, especially your toes, because from what I've been reading, our feet were never meant to be squished up in this triangle that shoes train our feet to go in. Think about it. That is the reason, for example, why a bunion forms. Look at the high heel shoe that women wear, right? Most of them go to a point, a fine point. What that's creating is a triangle at the top and a narrowing part during the center part of the foot. And that triangle on the side where the knuckle of the toe is supposed to be has nowhere to go when you pull the toes in. The toes are supposed to spread, but the high heel trains it to go in a triangle. And that's what creates that sharp point on the side of your foot. It's the knuckle of your big toe. Congratulations, you get a bunion. Now, I understand most shoe companies aren't really concerned with our physical health as much as they are with aesthetics and making money. But there are a few companies out there that are starting to make square toe shoes or wide boxed shoes that allow your foot and your toes to spread when weight is put on them like they're supposed to. So they make the wide box shoes to give your feet room to do what they do. Also, barefoot shoes, if you can manage wearing those. I can't think of any of the brands or the companies right now, but I'll put them on the screen if I find some. So men, I guess the bottom line to all of this is we must take care of our feet beyond cosmetically. A foot massage, pedicure, exfoliating scrub, moisturizing are all very nice every once in a while and recommended. As a matter of fact, if you're not getting this stuff done, I don't know what you're doing. But anyway, think more about long-term mobility. How will you be impacted without your trusty old feet? Most of us may not have been brought up to think about these things, but I think it's fair to say that it's detrimental that we do. So men, take care of your feet and they'll take care of you. As cliche as that sounds.